Hey there, welcome back. One thing I realized I should have done that I haven't been doing is I keep cyber attacking rogue states. I can cyber attack Iran. And in doing so, I can force them to move this backwards. And I can do it once every segment. So I feel like I missed an opportunity here. I could put the Russian influence marker back and cyber attack Iran instead because I'm at an auto loss condition right here. And as much as this is also getting precariously close, I have to do it, folks. And so I'm going to put the influence back, and instead we're going to retcon a little bit. It's just the last action here, and we're cyber attacking Iran. So I don't know what my DRMs are or anything like that, but I'm rolling a 5, and let me get the cyber attack chart open. So a 5. Well, hold on, we get to modify it. So we're going to get a -2 because our cyber is 2 better than everybody else, which is awesome. So that puts us down to 3. And we get a -1 because it's against Iran, so that puts us down to a 2. So with a 2, that's a major success. Decrease the nuclear missile track by 1 box and -2 DRM to the roll, that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to move them back to a 4. The Middle East stability, and it says to reduce or reverse everything here. So the stability goes back up. The how many tensions here? 2 on Iran and Saudi Arabia, and 3 on Israel. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So all those come off. And then we got to do the world's response. A 9 is not good. Iran knows you, or Israel did it, and they tell the Russians and the Chinese. +1 tension on Iran, Israel, China, and Russia. Shuffle, shuffle. 1, 1, 1, and 1. And we're not done. Roll a d10 and apply +1. I rolled a 6, which becomes a 7. US-Iran conflict track goes up. I'm okay with that. And then another d10. We're not rolling well. Iran increases subversion efforts in Middle East. 1 Iranian influence counter in the Middle East on the Group A chart. What the heck? So Group A is EU, NATO. I understand it's placing an influence somewhere. I don't get where it's supposed to go. This was really lazy by the designers. They should say exactly where. It says in the Group A Iran action chart. Same priority. Ah, oh, fudge me. So I think I know what it means. So I'm at the Group A action chart, And somewhere in here is put out an influence marker. I don't see it. Remove all sanctions on Iran. Place terror groups. Place Russian influence. Place Chinese influence. Worsen the U.S. economy. Reduce Middle East stability. Adding one strength to a war. Flip an unstable state. Move Israel neighbor strength. Launch a proxy war. Declare war on Israel. Those are the only things in the Iran chart. There's not a dang thing here. I mean, I know we put out Iranian influence counters before in the last game. I just can't remember where or how. Gonna pause. Okay, I found it. So it's in the blue section for when they increase their nuclear war capabilities. So I've been missing that part. If there's no influence counter next to Israel, place the counter there. And then after that they do civil wars, etc. So that's what's happening. So we go grab Iranian influence, and it goes on there for Israel. Which just means that all these tension counters are going to get a +1. Okay, all that was because I was able to remove this. Move that down a level. Okay. Now we start activation phase 2. We draw a chit. We get one card. Roll a d10 for a random region. 1 is the Eurozone. Increase 1, 3, 2, or 1 terror group. If none exists, add a level 1. They're going to get a level 1. If there's a U.S. ally, their next joint action must be to make an intel action. Okay, so 1 to 3 for UK. I'm okay with UK doing it. And then that goes in the shuffle box. That could have been a lot worse. Got another one. Cascading event, level 2. These ones are not fun. Alright, place 1 tension counter, or I'm sorry, same as above, but add 1 to the roll for each US unit in Eastern Europe. I only have 1. Place 2 tension counters on Russia and NATO, and 1 on the UK. 1, 2. And 1 on the UK. +1 crisis in Eastern Europe. Trending into US counter on Russia's US relations. So it's a 5 +1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. Remove one Russia influence counter from Eurozone or Eastern Europe. That's fantastic. Add +1 to the NATO conflict track. So that's back in precarious levels. And a Trenting anti-US counter. So Russia dropped back to 2 with us. And then now this goes to 3. And we have a plus sign. So we draw 2 more. 1, 2. Place an economy improving counter on the US track. +1 public approval. If Eurozone, Russia, or China is 4 or less, place a worsening economy. None of them are. Well, that's if I pass. I have to make a SOE check. That failed. Worsening economy on the US track. It's 5 or more. Put an improving counter. Ooh, so China just skyrocketed. Then media slant. It's no big deal for us. Public approval is already maxed out. Alright, that was the first one. A long-festered world crisis resurfaces. Refer to the world past as prologue table. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think I've seen this before. I always wondered what the heck this was. Now I'm gonna find out. Roll a d10, apply the results below. There's a lot of results, folks. And no DRM. I have no idea if high or low is better. Unrest in Iran. If there's a sanction counter or 3 tension counters on Iran and Iran is not at war, massive street protests break out over government policies and lack of sufficient food and goods. +1 Middle East regional crisis. +2 tension on Iran. One, 2. I know for a fact they had at least 3. Yeah. How many more are in here? 8 more. We're using them all up, folks. You now spend up to 2 APs to provide both covert and public support to the demonstrators. The number of APs you spend is a negative DRM to the ensuing die roll. If there's at least 1 Russian influence counter, that's a +1. And there is. So I will spend 2. Because Iran is something I would like to covertly screw up. And 8 is not a good roll. So we moved it down to a 7, which really was a good idea. They were going to evict all foreign media and put influence counters out. The government makes some concessions while placing limits on public protests and arresting those who defy new limits. Iran's focus on internal issues temporarily distracts them from external destabilization. Decrease any 2 level 1 to 3 terror groups by 1 level. I'm going to go ahead and we'll reduce both of those. Could have been worse. The level 1 was Ebola outbreak. Holy cow, that's a crazy one. Pakistani rebels, ultra-nationalists in the EU, Turkey moving towards dictatorship, the Balkans have old hatreds, China aggression, wave of extremism, and a black swan technical leap. Oof. Alright, this goes back into the shuffle. Alright, so we did all 3 of these, and now we get to do any 3 actions. One of them has to be to improve this. I don't know if an 8's good enough. Let me check. I thought this was a pretty relaxed check to do. That should be a diplomatic one. De-escalate a conflict. I get to reduce the Secretary of State rating, which is a 2. But there's no influence, because this is the EU. I'm doing NATO. If China or Russia is involved, the rating on the relations track. They're going to give me a +1. So that's a fail. I'm going to spend an AP to reroll. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Another action. That's a fail. Spending an AP to reroll. I finally pass. Because that 7 turns into a 6. So by passing, I move this back up. I can't have an auto loss. And then for another core action, I am going to, we're going to cyber any 3 actions. I'm going to cyber attack Iran. Rolled a 6. That's not as good as the last time we rolled. We do get to subtract 2. To make it 4. Because they're Iran, I get to subtract again to make it 3. A 3 is not quite a major success. Place a can't increase this turn counter on the nuclear missile track. Okay, that's pretty good. We at least made it so they can't move it back up to 5. And I'm assuming that when they try to do it, that goes away. Now let's see what the reaction is going to be. It's a bad one again. Yep. +1 tension on everybody. China, Russia, Iran, Israel, another D10. Okay, that's good. No further effect. Or no, I'm sorry. Israel, Iran. Move closer to war. And then one more. That should have been a 3. Iran gets to put out an influence marker. And believe it's on the Civil War. This is one weird thing. I gotta go to the governing manual to look this up. Yeah, they're on the Civil War. So this Civil War has peacekeepers and influence. Okay, that was 2 of my 3 actions, right? We cybered, nope, that was 3. We cybered and then we had to go twice to de-escalate. Okay, that was our 3 actions. Now we do this. We rolled a 10, so chaos is happening. Chaos is not good. Page 20. Increase the conflict status for a random war. That's Russia, NATO. Man, how do I roll that every time? Roll another d10. Draw a new cascading event card. Apply the results as if I drew it from the deck. Well, the good news is that's it. Okay, +1 domestic crisis. -2 public approval. Tension counter. That one stunk. That was a horrible one. Ally road group X. It's going to be Group A, which is the Iran group. This is always going to be a good time. First up, EU. Okay, EU gets an extra AP. No. Oh, EU is its own separate thing. World Economic. We rolled a 3. Everybody gets economy improving. So they move up. Russia moves up.
Oh, get me in there.
China's already there. And we lose our marker. Well, that's good. Then for the Eurozone, we rolled a 7. -1 to crisis. That's good. I'll take that. Now we activate NATO, which has a +1 AP. I'm going to just check their chart real quick. They'll do a cyber attack because they have all the tensions. So I'm not going to waste actions on that. What can I do? They can only act here or Eastern Europe, I believe. We can do intel on a terror group. And they get 2 successes if they do. We can raid. We can stabilize a region. Or do humanitarian aid anywhere in the world. So if I stabilize this to 6, I can get rid of the influence in Eastern Europe. And I think that's what these guys, their point is they're trying to, the problem is it's going to take both actions to move this down. We could also reduce regional crisis in the Middle East just because it's bad. I will do exactly that. A 6 moves it down. And I'm going to move down to Eastern Europe. And a 3 moves that down. That's all I can do for now with them. Then they have 2, 3, 4 to their die roll. And they're going to get 2 back. Whoops, I should shuffle. And their die roll was just a 2. They get to add the +4. And their current status, which is a 4. Oh crap. I could have used them to de-escalate. Yeah, I would have done that instead. My apologies. That stays at a 2. I rolled a 3 for the de-escalate action. A 3 removes their stress by 1 level. That removes that down. That was a priority. And -1 tension counter on each nation. So I was at a +4. I'm going to make it a +3. And then we'll get rid of one of Russia's tensions. Okay, so we rolled a 2, +3 is 5. And then their track adds 3 more for 8. And there's 1 war including US forces, so that makes it a 9. A 9 is they're going to add 2 strength of any war in the Eurozone or involving the US. So they're adding 2 strength down here. You know what? I'm going to do this. Because that is these are our troops, and this is extra. Alright, that's it for NATO. Next is South Korea. Now they get 2 actions, but they have a -1 AP. So you only get 1 action. They're going to be messing with North Korea with this many tension markers. The stability is a 6. I'm going to go ahead and try to reduce the crisis. That was successful.
Yes.
So we get that down to a 0. And then we have this nonsense. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. So, shuffle, shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they get a +7. That makes it 10. And their conflict status is a 2, so that makes it 11. And then 1 for every 2 counters on North Korea. 12. So they go up to 12, which is cyber attack versus North Korea. We can attack their nuclear track or their military government infrastructure. That is an interesting one. Their nuke program hasn't really been moving. I mean, we could move it down. Page 10. So obviously we know what the nuclear track is. I gotta get to 2 or better, or I can put a can't increase token on it. If I go after their military and government infrastructure, that changes their relative strength in favor of South Korea. or it reduces a regional crisis. We're gonna go after the nukes. A 9 is not gonna cut it. They do get to subtract 2, and because it's against North Korea, they get to subtract 3. And it's a joint attack because they're using the U.S. to help them. That becomes a 4. So 9 would have been bad. Minus 4. Yeah, we get to we get to put the marker on them. And that's it. So
There is 4 people here.
we get the same thing that Iran had. So the marker can't go up, which is good. That's a very good one. And we're rolling for reaction. Finally, we get something lower. This was a flawless execution. Well done, Korea. Alright, next up is Iran. And Iran is going to be very, very bad. I'm going to put all these here. So let me step through what they do. Flip over the tensions, and then we're going to roll against their chart. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And they're going to get 6 markers back. I'm sorry, 3. So they get a +7 on their roll. They rolled a 6. And 7 is 13. They're going to launch an air war in the Middle East. We got to roll to see who it is. It's a 10. Hezbollah and Hamas versus Israel. No surprise. Israel's going to win this. So let's do this properly this time. So Israel's the defender in both cases. Hezbollah and Hamas will be there. And what was I gonna say? Hold on, let me think about this. We said it was a 6, but the +7 is 13. But they get a +1 because the Middle East regional alignment is 6 or higher. So that actually makes it a 14. So they're doing an air missile war against Israel. That just means that these are coming off. It's Iran against Israel, and it's an air missile war only. Also, they would try to increase this, but it can't increase this turn. And this turn means all of this turn, so all of this. So I think that cyber attack is brutally awesome. And then they do get to put out an influence marker, though. And I just got to keep this thing on page 33, because... So first they went Israel, then a civil war, then an unstable state. And if none of those exist...
You can't attack. No.
There's no limit to the number of influence that's next to Israel.
So you have all that time to do damage.
Alright, so I don't know. There's no unstable states.
If you're about to die.
So another one goes on Israel.
Let other people do damage check.
So they got two of them now. And oh my gosh, they had a +1 AP. So I could have done all three.
Oh yeah.
There's my 4 roll for this or the other thing, which was to reduce that. I totally forgot. NATO had +1 AP. Okay. So they're doing an air war against Israel.
Watch out.
So we gotta go to air world charts.
No one spawns here. People can spawn up though. Trap.
Okay, so for Iran,
Oh my gosh.
for an air war, it's a 3.
2 people. Okay, let me heal up with this guy.
And then for Israel, an air is 6. So this is going to be less than 1 to 1 because they're the attacker. Alright, and then we have to progress the war. So I'm going to look at the DRMs for air war.
Kill the archer. No one
It's not a US war, so we're skipping a few. Russia and China is not at war. Israel is, so
This way.
+2 to the roll.
People are in here.
And China has a base,
We go right
so
through
-1, so +1
up here.
total. We gotta get rid of that base.
Oh well, both doors can work, but yeah. And that's this door.
Alright, a 3 is good for them. We did say +1, which doesn't change it,
Stick to the right wall.
but it is 1 to 1 or less odds.
Sec off right now. So
An air or missile war, no move, no loss,
we're gonna jump them.
and we're ignoring the forced peace
Hey, stick
because this is the initial war progress roll.
There's a trap.
Okay, that's something.
Okay, there's no one here. Let's everyone get in.
We are almost done. Now that Iran's gone, we just have to do
I'll take aggro.
unstable states.
Okay, and just watch out. When I hellfire, do not get in that way of hellfire.
So we're going in Central and South America. South has none. Central has 1.
Watch out.
We rolled a 9 for Central. They now have a civil war.
Back up.
Okay, that resolves theirs. So now we're going to do the
Bro,
UN.
I jumped.
And you know we can do that here. So let's get to the UN. And before we start, I'm going to pause. I'll be right back. Okay, so off we begin. One humanitarian aid where there's the highest crisis. It's either Africa, Central, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do Africa. A 10 is not going to cut the mustard.
If y'all don't mind, I'm just gonna start this fight.
Lowest stability 4, 4, and 4. There's 3 of them. So same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be Central America.
Watch out.
An 8 is not going to cut the mustard. These have the level 2 and 3. Africa or Middle East. So 1, 2, 3 for Africa. That one does fall in and cut the mustard. Decrease a level 2 or 3 by 1 level. Again, same ones. That's Central America. We're going to roll. It's an 8. Minus 1 is 7. I'm sorry, down here, minus 1 is 7. There is not a regional. Do I get to pick? Nope, I don't. So 7 is no change. Alright, then US initiated actions. We have no goodwill. I will spend 1 AP. At least I think I will. We'll drop to 18. And I mean, the sanctions are not
They attack on rockfall. That's
horrible, but
so stupid.
this one is good for reducing the Iran thing, so let's try it. I need a 1 to 5.
You got
A 3 is fantastic. I get to do a -1.
Oh no, dude, why?
This was another -1, but I don't get that. So it's a 2.
Everyone is just gonna die then.
So I do succeed. Now we're going to see what kind of fallout there is. It's a 9. Nothing. 8 plus no influence. It's perfect.
Brazil.
So we do decrease it down to here. So -1 tension on Iran, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. So there's 1,
If that guy didn't show up, I was
2, and 3. They all come off.
Literally on top of him, ready to go.
And then media slant. It's going to be, whoops, +1.
I don't know. Sometimes people just want to. Sometimes
And we're done.
watch the world burn.
So now we get to do 3 domestic actions. Alright, so we have a domestic crisis we should reduce. So let's do that. A 4 I think is good. Let me pull the items. Bear with me. Yep, it costs an action. I get a -1 because it's 60%. And the chief of staff minus. I just need to do a cabinet effective check. Yeah, so that's good. And I decrease it by 1, and I get +1 public approval. Alright, that avoided a massive failure there. So I get 3.
Stupid American.
I'll look at the president one. We can do corralling the cabinet to improve our cabinet. I think I'm going to remove the tension counter and then try to improve bipartisan relations. So we're going to remove this. I don't think I have to spend anything to do that. Nope, it's an automatic. If I spent an AP, I could have removed 2. And then we're going to spend another AP, or just 1 AP. We're going to try to not improve cabinet. We're going to try to move this up. We need a 1 or a 2. And there's nothing I can do to modify this. I don't want a 6. Oh, that's fantastic. So we move the counter 1 to the right. So now we got it up to 2. That's really good. Very, very good. Okay, that was our 3 actions. Draw a chit. We're going to get 2 cards. So I can't remember, but there is a second exceptional White House resource card, either buried in year 2 or year 3. It's one of the two. I think it's year 2. So there's 26 cards in here. This is 2 more for 28. One of those cards is a good one. A very, very good one. This is not it. This is one of the terrorism ones. Make a Homeland Security check. Oh man, if I ever need to roll well, this is one of those times. That was not a good roll. +2 to domestic crisis. Oh. Come on. This would have been so awesome. -1 to Homeland Security. Four tension counters on POTUS.
They killed him already.
Is there nothing I can do to improve this? To be able to roll again? Pay an AP?
They're right here.
Anything?
They're right here. They are right here.
This is ridiculously punishing. All because I rolled poorly. With no possibility of a reroll. Wow.
Watch out, Hydra.
Yeah, I'm just hosed.
Prepare protection potion.
Alright, 4 counters. 1, 2, 3.
I can't.
6, 5, 4, and 3. And this is because we rolled poorly earlier. If you remember, we added all these terrorist events. No legislative segment for the remainder of this turn.
I don't have any more health.
And then a public approval check. 6. Yeah, we passed by miles. +2 public approval. It's already up there. If there's a game created rogue state you're not already at war with, you may move up to 2 U.S. Air Force to their region and go to war. Yeah, let's do it.
Bro, how did they kill?
So,
How did they kill Cyclops so fast?
War 3. We'll go ahead and put that rogue state there. And War 3.
Like a cheese method with Hydra?
And then I can move a U.S. Air Force here. So I have 2 of them. So it's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
Actually, here, I'll bring Hydra.
17, 18, 19, 20.
Bring Hydra. You bring
20 is our strength. So we got 9. I'm just going to put it here. 9, 8 is 17, and 3 is 20. It's an air-ground war against a rogue state. United States is the attacker. So we're at 20. And I believe they start off at Rogue State, level 1, starts off at a 4. And then we do, so we're at 20 to 4, we have 5 to 1. And I rolled a 6. We have -1 for 5, because we have an intelligence counter. -1 because we're the attacker, so 4. And then -1 because we have Air Force for 3. And then +1 because they have 2 or more influence. So 6, 5, 4, 3, back to 4. So a 4 is a decent roll. And we are 4 and 1 or more. We move to the left and 2 defender losses. To the left is a win, because you're looking at the conflict stat. 1, 2 is a win. And that would get reduced to a 2, but it doesn't matter. So, we gotta resolve the win now. +1 regional crisis. Military footprint. That goes to 3. It's not an overwhelming victory. It could have been. U.S. wins. 2 public approval, 1 RWC, 1 media relations. Two legacy points. So there. Place a trending pro-US in the region. Oh my goodness. They're all the way to the top. South Korea needs a very close. You may immediately move up to 2 units from the Wars region home to the U.S. Forces box or to another region. And move any conflict track back to 2, which isn't going to happen in this case. Alright, so I don't know if I want to move forces out. I'm going to keep them there. I am realizing I need to get South Korea back to very close. And I think I ignored their -1 AP when they activated, so my apologies there. All that was because of this horrible card.
Rogue could be hiding literally anywhere.
The only good news is it gets discarded. And then we got another one. Choose 1 civil war, replace it with a ceasefire, -1 crisis, decrease a 3, 2, or 1 by 1. I got plenty. Actually I have ceasefires everywhere. If there are no non-ceasefire civil wars on the map, -1 regional crisis in 2 random regions. Let me just make sure. Nope, I have one right here. And then, yeah, we can... Is it get rid of? Decrease. And that is not a flip over. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. That is done. And we discard. Also, it's -1 regional crisis, so this goes down to 1. Okay, so that was a bit brutal. Now we do war progress for all of our wars and civil wars. So we're going to start here. 12, 15 divided by 3 is 5. That's 5 to 1 odds. As long as this is low, this is going to be a win. That is not low. Oh, you jerk. We do have some good news. I have intelligence in that region. So I get -1. I'm an attacker. I basically get -3 again. And then the influence target make it a -2. So that puts us down to 8. And I'm at 5 to 1 odds. Well, I still win. It's just not going to be an overwhelming win. I do move 1 to the left, and we both lose 1. So that would become a 2, and so would this. But the thing is this is going to be over. So Rogue State goes up. Right, we do have a win right here. So, first things first. Regional crisis goes up. Military footprint comes out. I'm worried about the Middle East. The US wins, +2 public approval, +1 RWC, +1 media relations. All of them are maxed out. You may immediately move 2 US units somewhere else. And a trending pro-US counter in the region. +1 party relations as well. Okay, before I move any units, this, of course, is triggering. So we finally move the alignment up. I have to figure out what happens to this rogue state. So give me a second. Here's what happened. There's a big long thing here. For a game created rogue state loss.
Well, I think the fights we've been having have been good fights. It's not like we've
So I'm skipping the level 3 or 4 rogue state.
not been there.
If the losing side is level 1 or level 2 rogue state, roll a d10 with a -2 DRM if it's level 1. So that makes it a 4. So yes, 1 to 6 is war is over. Remove the rogue state from the map and place 1 level 2 terror group in the region. If the US was the winner, you receive these benefits instead of the US wins. +1 legacy point. Trending pro-US counter. I'm just looking, there's not much a difference.
They didn't have a warlock. They had 2 fighters.
Okay, so rogue state gets destroyed. And a level 2 comes out in its place. That's the only one. Then I get to move forces away. 2 of them. So I'm actually going to move these 2.
It is really dumb how they buffed the fighters super hard.
And I could move them back home. Or I can move them here to make this even more beefed up. I don't think I need to.
Really, really hard.
I'm going to move them home. So 3 and a 2. We'll leave those there. And then it says we get to do a DRM check
You bring Swift.
or an intel
Yeah,
check
Swift.
against 2 in any
Weapon
region.
master. You don't get any
It's a -1 DRM
anymore because of that. But
in addition to any other DRMs.
Swift, you're now 10% faster. Let's fight now.
So the intel check. Sorry, I keep hitting a button on my keyboard.
Yeah, and you have sprint. No one
So we're going to roll a d10.
and Swift. No one.
We get to
Not even
modify it by -1 if there's a US intel in the region, and another -1 if I have a focused intel. So I'm going to go ahead and let's do.
Yeah, but then if they try and fight you in a thing that's not ranged,
I think we're going to do the Middle East here.
and even if it's
So I'm going to roll.
you have a true damage build, if you don't,
So
you'll just do
that's a
more
2
damage.
-1 because I have an intel and another -1 because of this. So that makes it a 0.
Love the build, but I don't think it needed a buff.
Move the target. So we're going to move the level 4 group to targeting. And then I'm going to roll again for that same area. And boom, we got both of these moved over to there. Okay, that was my war progress. Boy, that was just one war. Alright, next one is the Iran versus Israel. So let's roll for Iran. It's a 3. This is the air thingamajig. They get to add +2 for 5. And a -1 because of influence, so it becomes a 4. A 4 is no move, no loss, and they're forced to make peace. So a major crisis happens, which is going to split that back to 2.
No, they can't.
And let me figure out what happens.
Legendaries are only dropped by bosses. Liches and so like the dragon in the ice caverns, and then
When the warring side makes peace
that's the only time.
because of an asterisk result, if it's a stalemate,
I think it's
no further effect.
1% chance though. Just kill 1,000 of them. You'll get one epic.
So it's just a stalemate.
Wait, bro went over me. What?
So what I don't understand is like what happens to the conflict track.
You got it.
I guess it was already where it is. Okay, so it's a stalemate. So war just ends. And nothing happens. So that war, I never even bothered to put out. Then we have another war that we have with the rogue state. Oh, we already won that one. Ah, that was another rogue state. We already won that one. I think. Yeah, I forgot to give myself. I gave myself the generic rewards, which is all down here. But I need to do. Yeah, because I moved this up. So what happens is this gets destroyed. I do get a legacy point. I think I forgot my other one too. And then. Man, I hate retconning. Alright, so the retcon for this one is I get the 2+1 DRM checks on Intel. I'm going to go ahead and do groups down here. So that's an 8. That's reduced to a 7 because I have an Intel advisor, and then a 6 because I have my bonus. That's a fail. Hit the button again. I'm gonna try one more time. I failed both times.
I'm dead.
So Africa remains elusive. Alright, I think I'm caught up. Because that war was resolved the moment it was initiated.
Always in the worst timing.
It should not have been still there. It should not have still been there. So let's get those out of the way.
Back to full HP.
Okay, right now there is no wars in the war. Now we have to do the Civil War stuff. Now, if you recall, that's right here. So you guys can see the chart that I'm looking at. And we have, by my understanding, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. They're all ceasefire. Now, this one has a 1 and a -1.
I hit that
So, they get a +1 because of the Iranian counter. And a -2 if there's a UN peacekeeper. So that's a net -1. But then a +1 if stability is under 5, which it is. So for this one, the roll is a net 0. A 3 might be good.
I honestly think if
Remove Civil War.
because we have been the entire time, just go USs.
Decrease regional crisis by... Oh, I am going to do that, but we have to resolve the major crisis. So the... Oh, this was not the region. This one. So it's an unstable state that comes out. This goes away. And that goes away. Okay, so my issue here is I have to resolve... I hit a major crisis in the Middle East because of that war between Iran and Israel. So we got to resolve that now.
Dude, we're like mid-fight.
Or regional crisis, I meant.
They're in the way of us.
Okay, 6.
They'll have a rogue hiding in the darkness.
The stability in the Middle East is a 4. That makes it a 7. I have 2 very close allies, which makes it a 5. There was 1 ceasefire. No. It has to be a non-ceasefire, so we're still at 5. There was no more wars because that's what caused this. There is a rogue state, so that becomes a 6. Add a level 2 terror group. Flip an unstable state to civil war. If none, add 1. Okay, there wasn't an unstable state at the time. So we're going to add 1. And they get a level 2 terror group for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Max is 5. Okay, back to regularly scheduled programming. We're going to do this Civil War ceasefire. And 8 is not going to do anything. There's no Iran, there's no anything. Stability is less than 5, that becomes a 9. +1 crisis. This becomes a civil war again. Now we'll do this one. This gets a -2. Stability's at 5. Permanent peace. Decrease regional crisis by 1. Civil war is gone. And then this one down here. That's an excellent roll. 3 minus 2 is 1. Stability does add 1, which makes it 2. Doesn't matter. Ceasefire goes away. These UN peacekeepers are good. Reduce the regional by 1. So we actually reduced a lot of civil wars. I'm very happy with that. Alright, now we got any 4 diplomatic or military actions. And man, oh man, I had a whole bunch I wanted to do here. So I am concerned about this, but I'm going to leave it be for now. We need to get rid of influence counters. We have regional alignment up to 8. And so, if I understand it correctly, to remove an influence token, I need an alignment of 7 or 8, and on a roll of 1 to 6, I get to remove 1. And it's not domestic. If it was domestic, we'd be getting rid of some of these tension counters here. But, so I'm going to try to remove influence from the Middle East. We get how many actions? 4. We're doing 4 of these bad boys. We're going to start with China. That is 1. So China base goes back. 2 influence comes out. Now we're going to do Russia. This is 2. I'm going to spend an AP to re-roll. Is there any DRMs on this?
1. There's a ranger and a fighter.
None. I failed both times, didn't I? I did. Action 3, Russia again.
No, the skeletons.
That is a success. Russia goes
There's
down.
another group. There is another group.
Action 4, we're going to choose Russia. Going to spend an AP.
Watch out
Done.
for Trumps.
Got another one gone. Russia goes down again.
Scat champion.
They do have 3 here. There's nothing I can do about that. And yeah, I'm plucking them as much as I can. I need to get this one too. But China already acted, so I'm not as worried. Sorry, I was juicing up on some caffeine there. That was our 4. Now we're going to do our SOE. Which is here. Improve an ally relationship and put a trending pro-US. Well, we're going to fix something that I should have had fixed a while ago. Put that on. I'm going to put that next to it. And then we're going to put a pro-US. I mean, some of these are pretty low. But we need to get rid of all these influence markers, so we're going to put it right there.
The ranger's dead.
Just like that. Alright, so that was our US impact. We get 3, excuse me, 3 public approval. We are maxed. 2 APs, which I very much need. And 1 RWC, we're already up there. So feeling good about all that. And that brings us to the end. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.